creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Hello and welcome. In their lifetimes as a marine heat wave continues along Western Australia's northern coast. They are worried rising ocean temperatures are threatening their food security and generations of culture connected to the sea.
Philip Bibido McCarthy grew up fishing these reefs off the Kimberley's Dampier Peninsula.
Every weekend hunting and gathering with my grandfather, and he taught me about this country. Some of it is still alive.
The big difference now is significant sections of coral have turned bright white in a mass bleaching event.
The coral bleaching right through.
The Bardijawi Rangers and the Kimberley Land Council have been monitoring reefs off the Kimberley coast for years with the Australian Institute of Marine Science.
And what we've seen, what we're pointing at today is just coral bleaching. I've never seen it like this before. It's just quite devastating.
A marine heat wave since last winter is being blamed for the most significant coral bleaching event seen here.
This is the worst bleaching we've seen in their sea country. There was a previous bleaching event in 2016 that wasn't nearly as severe as this one.
The rangers are worried about the cultural impact of habitat loss.
So you might lose generation of storytelling, learning about country, the tides, the water, because it's been passed down to us. It's our role to pass down to the next generation. So if we lose this habitat, what are we going to teach them? What are we going to show them?
Bibido McCarthy wants governments and corporations to work closer with traditional owners to protect country.
And you need those big companies who are tearing up country and digging up country to say, all right, how do we change the trend of where we're heading?
A plea aimed at protecting this formerly pristine environment. Dunya Karagic, ABC News.
The Turkish Red Crescent organizes an iftar fast-breaking dinner for university students in Damascus, Syria, with around 500 students participating in the event.
Ferhat Surmeli, the head of the Turkish Red Crescent Syria delegation, shared details about the ongoing humanitarian efforts during the holy month of Ramadan. He said as of the first day of Ramadan, they have started fast-breaking programs in almost all major metropolitan cities of Syria. The most recent iftar of the event is hosted for students in Damascus, the capital of Syria. Additionally, their programs in Aleppo, Homs, and Idlib also began on the first day of Ramadan and will continue until the end of the holy month. Surmeli also highlighted the Turkish Red Crescent's daily efforts to support those in need, saying more than 500 students joined for the iftar held in Damascus. He said they will continue this event throughout Ramadan in Damascus. The Turkish Red Crescent's initiatives are part of their broader mission to provide humanitarian aid and support to those affected by the ongoing crisis in Syria.
An international conference on the circular economy focuses on the principles of reduce, reuse and recycle. It aims to create a roadmap for sustainable production and consumption patterns.
For India, the world is a family, and the time to act to save the earth is now, said India's Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, while addressing the gathering on Day 2 of the 12th Regional 3R and Circular Economy Forum. The minister also highlighted how India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is committed towards combating the menace of climate change.
Circular economy recognizes the importance of the economy to work effectively at all scales, for big and small businesses, for organizations and individuals globally and locally. We in India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, have emphasized on the need to make climate action as a participative process.
More than 50 startups and Indian companies are showcasing their technology in the conference. These companies are converting waste into energy and wealth. Vegunt Enertech is converting municipal waste into biomethanol. It is called Fueling the Future. India is currently importing methanol at a heavy price.
Our technology is focused mainly on addressing this MSW and converting this into various resources. Municipal solid waste. And if you see in our technology, we convert everything into a biofuel called methanol and also bio-CNG. And also we capture the carbon which is emitted out of this process, and we can convert that into algae products and aviation fuel as well.
Another startup is making digital business cards from bamboo, which are environment friendly and reusable too.
सारे लोग हैं जिनके ऑफिस चेंज होते हैं, जिनकी वेबसाइट्स चेंज होती हैं, ईमेल एड्रेस चेंज होते हैं, एंड उसके बाद वो उनके जो कार्ड्स हैं वो कम्प्लीटली वेस्ट हो जाते हैं. तो फिर हमारे पास में आइडिया है कि यार हम इसको डिजिटल वाले कंसेप्ट में करते हैं. ये बेसिकली एक कार्ड नहीं है, इसके पीछे पूरा मैकेनिज्म है.
And now from the bamboos to tires, one startup is enlightening the world how to earn from waste, the discarded tires, and that too in an eco-friendly way with style.
So we utilize tire and upcycle those tires. We are using various tools, various artisans are involved, various design teams are involved to create products, a lot of other different small products which we have done.
With representation from across the globe, the focus of the summit is a sustainable future.
Reduce, reuse and recycle. Well, more than 50 startups are showcasing their product because we are talking about 3R economy. And by the way, this is a lion, the emblem of Make in India. So, but this is not for you, it has already been sold for 3 lakhs. Well, there you say it, from waste to wealth. With cameraman Gaurav Giri in Jaipur, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Advocates for Australians with intellectual disability say their medical treatment is often cruel and dehumanizing because many practitioners have an unconscious bias against them. They say their health outcomes are comparable to those in developing countries and they're calling for urgent action.
Can I have that one? No.
Rebecca Kelly cherishes time with her son Ryan as he enters his teen years.
Ryan's 13, starting to get that angsty teenage attitude at the moment. He's got a really cheeky sense of humour.
People with intellectual disability. His mother says they've routinely felt dismissed and devalued by practitioners. One doctor even expressed surprise she didn't terminate her pregnancy.
He's not a mistake. He's not an accident. He's actually a really delightful child whose life has value.
People with intellectual disability have much poorer health outcomes than the rest of the population. They have double the preventable deaths, die 27 years earlier, and have 4 times the rate of avoidable hospitalisations. Advocates want the government to mandate disability training in medical degrees and give doctors incentives to hold longer consultations.
The experiences of people with intellectual disability in the Australian healthcare system are comparable to third world countries.
Labor and the Coalition acknowledge that people with intellectual disability face serious inequities in the health system and accept that needs to change. Neither party has committed to specific reform, and researchers say all governments know what is needed to turn things around.
If we can create a system that works for people with intellectual disability, it's going to work for a lot of other groups as well.
Can I sit down? Getting good care for Ryan is very stressful and it takes a lot of skill. And when I'm not here, who's going to do that?
Hoping those in power embrace the challenge. Naz Campanella, ABC News.
One of the only programs in New South Wales to help hoarders declutter their lives could be under threat. A final decision to continue funding for the Mission Australia initiative will be made in just a matter of weeks. The ABC has been granted unique access to some of the participants to learn more about the difficulties they experience.
Shane Wilson is taking care of every nook and cranny, but having a clean home used to be more of a chore.
A lot of boxes, like food scraps and that, and cockroaches, spiders, yeah.
He was living in squalor and was warned he could face eviction, but with assistance he was able to regain control of his home and his life.
Now how do you feel standing here? It's so much cleaner, hey?
Yeah, a lot tidier. Now friends are nagging me, can we come over to your place?
He's one of more than a dozen people to complete a program called Making Space, run by Mission Australia. It's believed to be the only free program supporting people who hoard or compulsively acquire. Unsupported, the condition can be significant.
It's an issue for safety reasons, for tenancy issues, for mobility issues. It's impacting their personal health, their physical health and their mental health as well.
Last year, Mission Australia received $500,000 in federal funding to run the program until June this year. Caseworkers who have seen similar programs funded and then defunded are concerned about its future.
Support's taken from under them and they might go back to being the way they were before.
Making Space is the only program of its kind in the Central and Eastern Sydney Health District right here. A final decision on its funding, to be made by the Primary Health Network, is due in mid-March, meaning it's just a matter of weeks until Mission Australia learns whether or not they'll continue doing the work they've started.
More than 30 people are being supported by the program, and it's unclear whether they'll get to finish it. Miles Holbrook-Walk, ABC News, Sydney.
Tensions between North and South Korea remain high. One small town is feeling it the most. For the past 6 months, it's been bombarded with loud, unsettling noises emanating from the north. North Asia correspondent James Orton reports from the small island of Gangwon-do.
What is that noise? On a good day, it sounds kind of like a jet engine, but on other days, it's much more unnerving. And it's coming from that mountain in North Korea.
Sometimes it sounds like a siren, sometimes like a ghost, sometimes like animal cries. Our grandchildren say it sounds like wolves from North Korea.
It changes between sounds like car brakes, tearing noises, and metal grinding. It's extremely irritating.
This small South Korean town has had to learn to live in the shadow of the North. But last year, it became the victim of an unconventional retaliation war. North Korea sent rubbish-filled balloons across the border. Furious at the constant propaganda South Korean residents had been sending, the South responded with K-pop blaring across the border. So North Korea started its own noises. And it's driving residents nuts.
I stayed up all night. It gives me headaches and my grandchildren can't sleep.
The sounds get even worse at night.
I'm exhausted now, just exhausted. I wonder what we should do, if we should move away, but to move we'd need to sell this house. Given the situation, nobody wants to buy here.
To help residents cope with that noise, dozens of homes here are being equipped with soundproofing windows. And there's even talk of financial compensation. But residents here just want those noises to stop. And many here believe it's the South that has antagonised the North, and that is retaliation.
What we want is simple. Stop the broadcast to North Korea. That's it. If we stop, they might stop too.
These residents are the major victims of the hardline policy waged by the South Korean government.
Losing peace and quiet is a big price to pay for this little town. James Orton, ABC News, Gangwon-do.
Melbourne's Lord Mayor wants people caught tagging in the CBD to face serious consequences, even if it means sending a council staff to court to read victim impact statements. The council spends millions of dollars removing a graffiti every year, but it's hoping to turn the tables with a new "you spray, you pay" policy.
Whether it's art or vandalism, love it or hate it, there's plenty of graffiti in Melbourne.
I think it's amazing. I think that it adds to the energy that you get here. I'm always really excited to see new things.
Some people see it as a rite of passage. Frankly, I just see it as vandalism.
Cleaning any graffiti in Melbourne City is a huge blow to the bottom line for the City Council, prompting a spray and a new plan from the Lord Mayor.
It's costing us millions of dollars each year to clean up.
Street art precincts like Hosier Lane will be immune, but the council's putting other offenders on notice. taking an activist approach by having an active role in court proceedings, making vandals pay for clean-up costs, and pushing police to improve enforcement of graffiti laws.
I want to see more prosecutions though. I want to see people caught and prosecuted for these crimes.
Many tags like these ones are only a metre or so wide, but to put it into scale, the council says it cleaned almost 70,000 square metres of graffiti in 2021. That figure has only grown since then to more than 110,000 square metres in 2024, or 5 times the surface area of the MCG. From areas so covered in graffiti, it may as well be wallpaper.
We're so used to it, and we just see the whole art thing as such a feature of Melbourne and such a feature of Melbourne laneways.
The measures were approved at a council meeting last night and will come into effect in the coming weeks. Emil Pavlich, ABC News.
China's National Forestry and Grassland Administration says populations of flagship species of wildlife in China have continued growing, and the habitats and breeding environment have been steadily improved. The announcement was made ahead of the World Wildlife Day.
The World Wildlife Day was designated by the United Nations in 2013 to enhance awareness of the world's wild fauna and flora. In China, this year's theme is Increase Investment in Species Protection and Build a Community of Life on Earth. China boasts rich biodiversity with approximately 3,100 species of terrestrial vertebrates and over 130,000 named insects. The country is also home to more than 38,000 higher plant species, including over 4,000 rare and endangered wild plants. In recent years, China has constantly refined its legal framework for wildlife protection, implementing nationwide projects for wildlife conservation, advancing the construction of national botanical gardens, and prioritizing the development of a natural protected area system centered around national parks. These efforts have led to a sustained growth in the populations of flagship wildlife species. The latest monitoring data indicates significant progress in the conservation of key species. The wild population of giant pandas has increased from 1,100 in the 1980s to nearly 1,900. The snow leopard population has rebounded to over 1,200 individuals. The number of Amur tigers and leopards have risen from 27 and 42 respectively at the inception of the National Park System pilot in 2017 to around 70 and 80 each. The Asian elephant population has grown from over 150 to more than 300, while the population of crested ibises has surged from 7 to over 7,000 since their initial discovery. Species like the Hainan gibbon and Tibetan antelope have also shown noticeable growth in their respective population in the wild. Meanwhile, a total of 206 endangered plant species have been successfully reintroduced into the wild, with several plant species having benefited from effective conservation and recovery measures.
A 3-bedroom house with a yard has traditionally been the most common type of residential property in Australia's regional centres. But experts say a cultural shift is underway, with an increasing number of people looking for smaller, more central dwellings and housing industry, and regulators need to facilitate it.
Isabella Mitchell, her housemate, and Meredith Gray, the cat, live in an apartment above shops in the regional Tasmanian city of Launceston.
I can walk to work, so it means I don't have to rely on my car, which is nice, and I find everything's here that I need as well.
There are some challenges though, rubbish disposal and access to car parking being the biggest. The Launceston City Council is encouraging developers to consider converting more shop-top spaces into apartments and turning council assets like car parks into residential properties. It's a shift some housing experts want to see more of in regional Australia.
We still build a lot more freestanding houses than apartments by a factor of something like 6 to 1. Whereas in most parts of the world, particularly in large cities, but in most parts of the world, apartment living is much more a mainstream activity.
The COVID pandemic saw regional cities become more popular places to live. That's continued to impact the cost and supply of housing in those areas.
We see teachers not being able to find a house to live, so the schools are finding it hard to find teachers. Same for nurses in nursing homes.
Public Policy Advisor, SGS Economics and Planning, says Australia needs to address its missing middle, the gap between suburban quarter-acre blocks and city high-rises. Smaller apartment buildings are considered more feasible for regional centres.
You can have medium density housing where people still have small gardens, where it may go up just 2, maybe 3 levels, and that fits better in the character of regional areas.
One of the challenges in constructing taller buildings in regional areas is finding the skilled workers. One solution could be prefabricated modular apartments built in major centres, then moved to regional areas.
Where each apartment is a separate mod or unit that's attached one after the other as an overall development. We haven't seen a lot of that in Australia yet.
Hi, you want to complete with this one? Come on.
Toying with new solutions to the housing crisis.
Ah, good girl.
Selena Ross, ABC News.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant day.
Creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view of Asian current affairs without relying on external news sources. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Barakatir Ramalan Mahoge Heo Idmat Hunia TV Ballava Lobit Raitunan Ariskurang.